Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be you hold on until you don't. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So you are holding on to something until you have to finally let it go. Go back in time when you were younger. Maybe you're holding on to that childish crush you had on somebody, or you're holding on to getting accepted to a school, or holding on to a friend that had moved away, etc. Well, eventually you realize that you can only control what you can control, and that the sooner you wrap your head around that the person, now fast forwarding, who you were in a relationship with, who turned out to be toxic, maybe even narcissistic, that they don't serve you, they never have and they never will, well, that's when you realize that you were, perhaps even are, holding on. Now, when you're holding on, I understand. I was there. I was once where you are, or once where you were. Holding on to something that does not serve you is very, very challenging, very debilitating, and it is very, very extreme in the case or the situation or relationship with a narcissist, because the narcissist looked at you not only as an opportunity, but as someone that could elevate and catapult them from one leg of their life to the next. And you were giving to a fault. You probably were a people pleaser. You didn't have boundaries, and you couldn't say no, the strongest word in the English language. On top of that, you were believing in the relationship. You were believing in the false narrative of the mask. You were believing in that person's words, even though their actions were not matching their words. Because keep in mind, the narcissist is in a cycle. And that cycle, there are 4 parts of it, usually 3, but at times 4. One part is the love bomb / euphoric stage, when you are new and you are the flavor of the month, or the new shiny object and the new target, but you didn't know that. That's when they try to get as close to you as possible, and they try to assimilate themselves with you and infiltrate your life. And that's when everything seems to be going as good as it could be, or had it ever gone, in a relationship with you. Then once the narcissist knows they have their dirty fangs sunken into, that's when the devaluation stage begins. That's when the body of the relationship takes a twist and a turn for the worse. This is when you begin to see the micro discards of the narcissist. This is when you begin to see who they really are. Although you don't know who they were because you weren't taught that in school, but you're realizing that their behavior is not matching up as to how it did in the beginning of that relationship, which was the love bomb stage. Then, as always, with the narcissistic relationship, it ends. And that is called the ending of the relationship, or the discard, or when you removed yourself from the relationship. Any way you cut it, that relationship was going to expire one way or another. Now you're realizing that, and you're wrapping your head around that. So perhaps this is where you are when the relationship ended, maybe recently for you. Maybe it was a few months, maybe it was a couple of years. Maybe this is the first video you're consuming because the relationship ended yesterday. I can't tell you, but what I can say to you is, if you're holding on to something that doesn't serve you, which means the narcissist and the narcissistic relationship, and if you have the wisdom, which means you now know what gaslighting is, what stonewalling is, what the silent treatment and more behaviors of these people are, if you know that, then maybe today is the day. Maybe today is the time to let go. Now, I do realize and I understand it's not as easy as just letting go, and tomorrow you go live your best life and everything's snickerdoodles and puppies and rainbows and unicorns. That's not how it works. You are now on the healing path. You will have to focus on yourself. You will have to stop holding on and stop giving that person the attention, the energy, your mindset, thinking they can change, wondering if they can change, wondering who the new supply is. Do they love you? Did they love you? Can they improve? Maybe if I just give them one more opportunity, etc. When you let go of all of that and you stop holding on and you wrap your head around what narcissism is at its core, then you realize that all that energy that you were putting into that person and that relationship, it was going out the window. You didn't know it back then because you weren't taught it in school, but now you're realizing it, or you understand it. And when all that energy goes back into you, inwards, that's when you begin to heal. That's when you begin to practice radical acceptance. That's when you understand all the definitions in the glossary on the narcissistic abusive cycle. Example, what is triangulation? What is a rage fit? What is verbal abuse? What is mirroring, projection, object constancy? What is the smear campaign, the silent treatment? What is blame shifting? And what is stonewalling? When you learn all those things and you couple those definitions and descriptions with your real life experience, that equals wisdom. It's a newfound wisdom that you've acquired, or you are acquiring. And that wisdom you can't buy in a book, you can't take in a class, you can't go to a university and pay a boatload of money to acquire it. You either went through the cycle and you know it like I do, or you don't. You can claim you do, And you can know the definitions, and you can perhaps say that you know things because you read books and watch videos. But if you didn't live 1 minute in my shoes or in a person's shoes who was in a narcissistic relationship, then you flat out can identify, but you can't relate because you don't know what it's like to be inside of our minds. I'll focus on that for a quick moment. Let's say that somebody, not the narcissist, but somebody has read up all about narcissism and they know everything about it. Okay, that's fantastic. It's beautiful. The thing is when that person wants to apply what they've read through books or watched from videos or taken courses, they can apply those behaviors that they've learned or that education that they've learned possibly the proper way, possibly not. But what that person doesn't understand is that somebody like myself or you who have gone through the cycle, maybe even numerous times, that will never exit our minds. When we see toxicity, we realize, whoa, I've been there before, I want nothing to do with it. You see, it's not as simple as learning a definition and saying, okay, I know what that is. No, that's when somebody's book smart. Example, you know what homeostasis is, or you know what algae is. I get it, okay, fine. But you don't have to think about that. See, when you're in the narcissistic relationship, you have to think about it all the time. When you're out of it, you have to heal. And that will be a little part of your mind for the rest of your life, because once you've experienced these things and you understand what they are, then no longer, you can't unsee what you've seen, but now you know what you know. And that's why you begin to have a small footprint. That's when you don't overshare. That's when you let go. And that's when you realize people can say whatever they want to say, the narcissist, the non-narcissist, whomever, but they don't know what it's like living in your mind. That's why I create videos each and every day. That's why I offer and provide one-on-one sessions. That's why I continue to journal, to meditate, to go explore in nature, and to reset and recalibrate myself, because I also need to keep my cup full each and every day, just like that's what you're doing. And if you don't know what that means, you should really understand something. If where you are right now is not where you want to be, there's work to be done. If where you are is where you want to be, maintain that place that you are and continue to focus on yourself. Continue to come back and get your cup topped up, and continue to get tips on education on the narcissistic abusive cycle and more. But one thing you have done post-relationship, if you've healed and you've healed properly, I can assure you, is you've let go. You see, as the thumbnail mentioned, you hold on until you don't. And when you don't, that's a pivotal part of your journey. It's when you wrap your head around that the narcissist doesn't care about you. They're probably not thinking about you. They've probably moved on to another supply source or multiple supply sources by now. And you were left holding the bag. Again, I am not sugarcoating anything. You have to heal. I had to heal. And that's why the narcissist just slithers away so effortlessly, because they had other people lined up, whether you knew about them or not. But whereas the narcissist is the polar opposite from you, they're not holding on to anything. They were never holding on to you. What they were trying to do is keep you stuck, keep you trapped, and keep you in that zombie-like, trance-like state, which is what I call the narcissistic fog. And that place is as real as I am sitting here creating this video. The whole purpose of the videos I create is to get you out of that fog, to have you focus on yourself, to let go, to heal and heal properly, to realize that now you're gonna have to have boundaries, you're gonna have to go no contact with certain people, you're gonna have to take stock of the narcissist and any other person that you surround yourself with now, in the past, or you will in the future. Because that relationship rocked your world, it spun your world upside down, it turned you inside out. You behaved ways you never thought you would behave, you tolerated things you never thought you would tolerate, you heard things you never thought you would hear. There were doors slammed in your face, there were plates being smashed, there were cupboards being slammed, there was things in your house that went missing. You were being triangulated, you were being ghosted, you were being blamed, you were being financially abused, mentally abused, emotionally abused, financially abused, if I didn't say that, maybe even physically abused. That's why when these relationships end, there's a big void that needs to be filled. And that's when you are holding on, just like I was. Eventually, as time passes and you maintain no contact and you block these people and you begin to heal, and you have a small footprint and you stay in that cocoon of boundaries, you realize that you're actually getting stronger. And is it hard and is it challenging and difficult? Yes, yes, yes. It is. Is it something you have to do? Absolutely. The only person that can heal you is you. It is you and your fortitude and your commitment, your resilience, your strength, your courage, your direction, and your purpose. And getting your clarity back is one of the most important things that you will do on the healing path. Once you get your clarity back and you realize that perhaps you are and or were holding on to something of that relationship and you let it go, That's a good thing. Now again, when you let this person go or let the narcissist go, it's not as easy as that. It's going to take time. It's going to take baby steps. You're going to have to let certain things go. Example, pictures on your phone, slowly they'll be removed. Items in your house, slowly they'll be removed. There will be casualties of the relationship, left, right, and center, maybe extended family members or friends or gymnasiums or hobby groups or foods or restaurants or cities, towns, states, countries, jurisdictions. There will be so many things that you'll have to go through on the healing path, things that you weren't expecting, but yet things that you will have to take care of. Because when you were in that relationship with the narcissist, you were an open book. You were giving to a fault, probably a people pleaser. You didn't have boundaries, and you were doing everything you could to elevate them and to put out the fires that they were starting intentionally to try to break that relationship. Again, you didn't know what you were up against. Now you do. Now you understand that that person had disdain for you. They never cared about you. They don't care about you now, and they never will care about you in the future. But don't think it's only you. It's everybody. They don't care about one person on the planet, not their children, not their ex-spouses, not their people they were cheating with, not the new supply, not their parents, not their siblings, not their coworkers, colleagues, neighbors, not people in traffic, people in restaurants, people in lines. They care about only themselves. And once you understand all these things I'm sharing with you, you really understand that perhaps you were holding on to something. I was, and I let it go rather quickly, to be blunt. I created my YouTube channel 5 months and 2 days after being discarded during one of the most challenging, debilitating times on the planet. Read between the lines, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm coming up on the 4-year anniversary, which will be March 31st, 2025, in approximately 17 days, because today's the 14th. And there I will create another video called Glad You Made It, which will go back in time, and it will illustrate the very first video I've ever created, which was called just that, Glad You Made It. You see, that very first video I ever created on March 31st at about 10 o'clock at night, I believe it was a Wednesday or Thursday evening. That was a very difficult time in my life. But you know what I did? Picked up the camera, sat on a cube. And some of you know what that cube means. And I put on a shirt, and I made a vow, a promise. I called out my moonshot to you, to myself, and to the world. And I've kept my word every single day since that day, and I will always continue to do that as long as I'm breathing air and on the planet. That is a 4-year commemoration. It's a 4-year journey to this point, but I'm just getting started. I am learning more and more about narcissism, about toxicity, about human behavior, and about mindset, more than I could write in probably 300 books. And do I mean that? Yes, I do. Whole point is I'm different. I'm not the person I was March 31st, 2021. Definitely not the person I was any of the years before that. And each and every minute I'm on the planet, I elevate and I ascend and I grow. Do I make mistakes? Yes, I do. Am I healing? Absolutely. Have I reached the pinnacle of indifference? Yes, I have. My hope is you have too, or you're about to get there. But point being, I never stopped, I never quit. And along the journey, I had to let go of so many things, and you will too. And when you finally wrap your head around that perhaps you are holding on until you're not with anything, it could be that shirt that they gave you. It could be the coffee mug they gave you. It could be a picture that reminded you of them. It could be a watch. It could be anything. When you let those things go and you realize they have energy on them and they're reminding you of what once was, but not what really was, what you thought was. Understand what I'm sharing with you. When you get these messages and you realize that perhaps you are holding on to something, and you will always be holding on to something until you're not, that's the power of letting go. When you finally let go to certain things, it gets easier and easier and easier. Just like when you block somebody. I know many people don't want to block people because they think it's offensive. They think it's just not human. It's not a good thing to do. Well, you need to think about something. What's better, your mindset, your clarity, your attention, purpose, focus, and direction, or being available to a toxic person? It's the former, not the latter. So when you block people, and again, I don't go walking all over the planet looking to block people. I'm saying when you block people, it gets easier because it becomes second nature. Just like healing becomes easier and easier. Just like ripping the Band-Aids off of the relationship. Slowly, you rip them off and it stings, it hurts, and it takes a long time. But when you process things, eventually you don't get triggered. You're not ruminating. You're at that mountaintop, that pinnacle of indifference. You've let go and you're holding on to nothing other than yourself. You see, you are the beautiful, bright, shining light. You are not a supply. The narcissist looked at you as supply. They looked at you as weak, as an opportunity, and as someone they could take advantage of. Well, they did that for a period of time and they can't any longer because you have gone no contact. What you are is the beautiful, bright, shining light. You're an empath. you're kind, you're loving, you're stable, you're healthy, you are beautiful internally and externally. And the narcissist wanted to crush you, extinguish you, not have you shine higher than the sun, the moon, and stars, but they couldn't do it, and they failed. Just like they fail with everything, but they don't want to let you know that they failed. So having said that, when you realize that you had the keys within you the whole time, but you were believing in someone else, and you let them drive the ship for a period of time, or you let them drive that relationship, or you entered that relationship perhaps because you were vulnerable, you were naive, you were uneducated, you were believing in someone else's words that never matched their actions, or vice versa. Well, you didn't know back then what you didn't know, just like me. Now you know what you know, and you can't unsee what you've seen. So now you go no contact, etc. Now you have boundaries. Now you don't hold on to anything, and I mean anything that doesn't serve you. That is abundance, that's growth, that's fulfillment, that's promise, that's your destiny, that's my moonshot, that's my calling, that is your purpose. When you wrap your head around all of those things I just mentioned to you, maybe today is the day you let go of something and you stop holding on. Maybe today's the day you block somebody and you stop holding on. Maybe it's the day you become unavailable and you don't answer that person's text or phone call. Maybe today's the first time ever you put your phone on DND, which means do not disturb, and you begin to really conserve your energy and you don't pick up the phone for a window of time. Maybe it's only an hour. Maybe it's 12 hours. Maybe it's 18 hours. Maybe today's the day you're gonna have a me day. You're gonna unplug. You're gonna become unavailable to everybody. You're gonna go get a massage. You're gonna get acupuncture. You're gonna relax. You're gonna eat your favorite food. You're gonna meditate, journal, walk in nature. Or maybe you're just gonna sleep in till 2 o'clock in the afternoon because you can. No matter what you're doing now, you're doing it for you, and you are no longer holding on to something that doesn't serve you, or many things that don't serve you. Remember, it all started with the narcissist. Once you figured out who they were and what they did and what they were capable of and what they had done to people before you and people after you, then you realize you need to get as far away from these people as you possibly can. Then after you went down that rabbit hole of education and exploration, the natural progression is to go through your immediate family, your former romantic relationships, friends, colleagues, neighbors, siblings, etc., business partners. Then you identify who all those people are, and whether you know it or not, you can't help it, you're gonna do that. You can stop, but you won't be able to stop because you'll have the craving for the knowledge with this newfound superpower that, again, you cannot acquire from reading 500 tomes or books or taking all the courses. You either have it or you don't. Having said that, once you figure it out, then you become really, really strong, insulated, you have the boundaries, you have a small footprint, and now you can communicate with whomever you want to, or you don't have to communicate at all. Remember, your silence speaks volumes for you. Just because someone texts you or calls you or emails you or phones you or knocks on your door doesn't mean you have to communicate. You don't have to do anything that doesn't serve you. That's why once you reach the pinnacle, the mountaintop of indifference, where it's all abundant, it's beautiful, the view is incredible, and there's room enough for you and anyone who's gone through the cycle and who has healed, but there's no room for negativity or toxicity. Once you get there, you don't want to go anywhere else because you've now done something. You've changed your mindset. You've carved new neural pathways. You've beaten something you didn't even know you're up against, and you're here, and you're living, breathing. You can now do whatever you want to do, which includes, yes, I'll say it again, you can take a class, teach a class, read a book, write a book, travel, fall in love again, start a business. You can sleep until 11 o'clock in the morning or stay up till 3 a.m. You can do whatever you want to because why? Because you're not holding on to something any longer. And as soon as you let negative things go, and I know it's challenging, but as soon as you let the negativity go, everything opens up for you. The doors of opportunity, the doors of possibility, and yes, the doors of abundance. There's so many people I've worked with over the years during one-on-one sessions who in the beginning, they couldn't wrap their head around what I was talking about with the doors of abundance and opportunity and possibility. And guess what? Many of these people have texted me, called me, emailed me, and had other sessions with me to let me know their updates, their progress, their mindset, what they've accomplished, where they are in life, and how grateful and fortunate they are. Not because they worked with me, because they got the message. I was just a vehicle from the power above, someone who picked themselves up by the bootstraps, dusted themselves off against all odds, rose through the ashes like a phoenix during the most debilitating, challenging time of my life and probably yours, all alone, isolated for 2 years and 2 days. That's how I became who I became. Am I a human being? Absolutely. Does energy run through me? You bet it does. And when my energy runs through you and you connect and you understand what I'm sharing, then you too are where I am. Maybe you're further along, who knows? The point is you're not where you once were, you're now where you belong, which is toxicity free, positive energy, vibrational state all around you is nothing but abundance. And this is where you've always been directed towards, but you had to go through that narcissistic relationship to get there. So understand what I'm sharing with you. This is a journey, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. There is no magic pill that can be consumed or magic wand that can be waved to heal you. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can tell you when you will heal. The healing path is a direct correlation contingent upon how much work you place into yourself. I've said that for 40 years. I'll continue to say it for another 40. Understand, you have the strength, you have the power. And if you are holding on to something that doesn't serve you, let it go. Maybe today's the day to take that first step to doing so. Begin today, if not now, when? So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. Remember that. You are not alone. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. The spring is here. The weather's warming up. People are now moving around. They're riding bikes. They're exercising. They're rollerblading. They're getting out, and they're having coffee outside. Do what you can do if you have the energy and the means to do it. If you still want to stay in that cocoon of boundaries, stay in there, heal, slow your life down, process, journal, meditate. Do what you need to do, but eventually you will get the message. Eventually you will go no contact. Eventually you will kick the narcissist to the curb, and eventually you will be holding on to nothing. And that's when all the doors of abundance will be kicked wide open for you. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.